Hello viewers, good day. You're watching 284 Media out of Tortola in the British Virgin Islands. Tomorrow, Sunday, March 21st, will be observed as World Down Syndrome Day and a Global Awareness Day, which has been officially observed by the United Nations since 2012. Joining me today is a parent, Mrs. Kisheba Sprauve-Callwood, along with her son, Kazai Callwood, along with Miss Lorna Dawson, the program director at the Autism Center. We talk all things Down syndrome, getting a first-hand experience to the journey and awareness of Down syndrome. Stick with us. You're watching 284 Media out of Tortola in the British Virgin Islands. Viewers, welcome back. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Mrs. Sprauve-Callwood and Miss Lorna Dawson, as well as Prince Kazai. Welcome to 284 Media, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Now, of course, tomorrow on Sunday, March 21st, we are going to be observing World Down Syndrome Day, which, as we mentioned in the intro, is recognized all over the world, observing and really paying homage and raising awareness to World Down Syndrome Day. We are so happy to be able to get some first-hand knowledge from a parent of a child living with Down syndrome here in the British Virgin Islands. Mrs. Callwood, let's begin by you. Let me tell us a little bit about your experience, of course. Firstly, with your initial reaction to finding out that Kazai was diagnosed with Down syndrome.
Well, while I was pregnant, they didn't really detect that he was Down syndrome. It's after he was born, it's when the pediatrician came and told me. And it was a bit shocking because when he came in initially, I didn't expect it because I saw a healthy baby,
right.
And I had my friend, my boss, my friend, she was with me and my other co-worker, Karen. So both of them, we were three of us in the room. So when he came in, he's like, "Can I speak to you?" And I was like, "No, it's fine. Well, that's my friends. I don't have nothing to worry about, So he started telling me what he's seeing. I was shocked. I watched him like, what are you talking about? And of course, then the reactions came, and then it went from my smiles to my cries. And it was a bit hard, because I didn't really understand
of course.
What was Down syndrome at that point. So it was all new to me, and all sort of different reactions would start flushing in. And,
right.
So it began from there. And then I just started reading. And then the same Karen who was with me, she's who actually encouraged me to speak to Miss Dawson. And that's when I went to her and I told her what was going on. And then she's who really opened my eyes to a lot. And from since then till now, she has been there with her team, giving me a lot of support, explaining to me what to expect, what not to expect. And it's been a road ever since then.
Okay. Now, how old is Kazai?
He made 4 last month, okay. February 21st.
So walk us through the process of him now being a toddler, 4 years old. From your initial reactions, you mentioned, of course, about the array of emotions that you would have felt, being pregnant, excited, and then after delivering your son, finding out that he has Down syndrome, and of course, filled with a lot of emotions. Walk us through that process from birth to now at 4 years. How has it been, and what have been some of the moments that have really, gotten you to this point?
Well, from birth to now, from birth there was a lot of challenges medical-wise. After he was diagnosed, we went to another pediatrician who then recommended he did a heart echo, and that then determined he had another defect, which he had to do an open heart surgery. So from then, it's been, challenging, but Jehovah God is good. He has been there with me. praying and keeping me grounded, and my friends and family. So after the surgery, I think after that, everything kind of get more easier, because then his health was not really, it's still an issue, but it's not really a bad issue. Then he have to do therapies, of course. So when we came back, we wasn't here for almost, so when we came back from his surgery in Orlando, we came back and we went to Jerry Smith at Therapy Works.
Right.
And he never did that sort of therapy on a young child. And I begged, and I was like, could you please just help me? I don't know what to do. And he's like, you know what? We're going to do this. And he took it on, and he helped him to creep. He helped him to walk. He has been there. And after he saw that his PT was doing good, then, we could have started doing things on our own. And then then he just did the physical therapy for his early part, and then he started going to the Autism Center from young. Basically like twice a week now, 3 times a week, to help him to develop to the stage where he needs to be. And then he started speech when he was about, I would say maybe a year and a half. But of course with COVID last year, that posed a big challenge, because then all the therapy services were stopped. So that in itself was a bit frustrating, to say the least, because then it was really hard not being able to get the proper therapy that he needed.
Okay.
And we had to do a lot of it on home. So you two became my best friend, because I'm not a licensed therapist. So
of course.
I had to do a lot of research, read a lot of books, things to do, ask friends, ask parents, I'm in an actual, a lady, but a lovely lady, God bless her soul, Simone Foster, she reached out. And Linda Alexander, she also reached out to me, and we joined groups, so I was able to get more feedback, more support, for different therapies. And you get people tell you, you can't stay here because, we don't have the services here. And first-hand experience, we do have the services, it's a bit limited because we don't have occupational therapists, but the lovely ladies here at Autism Center, they've been working with him on different therapies to get him where he is right now, thank God. And he now also goes to Therapy to Strive with Miss Cherise Creaky Smith. He goes there twice a week also. So basically every day he's doing some form of therapy to get him where he needs to be. It's the love. People, it is challenging. You get sometimes, I get down on myself because I don't feel, maybe, am I doing enough? Am I doing it right? What else do I do? But when I look at him and I see he's trying, and he's like a little sponge. Like everything you tell him to do, he do it. So that brings me joy to see him trying to do what he has to do to get where he needs to be. So that tells me, don't give up. Just continue praying to Jehovah God to give me the strength to get him where he needs to be. Look at him. He's so sweet.
He is an amazing, amazing ray of sunshine indeed. He came into the studio, viewers, and just lit up the place with so much vibrancy and joy. Thank you so much for your honesty. Kisheba, from the beginning, from the inception of your comments, you mentioned about being in the delivery room and having your two of your closest friends with you, and then you mentioned about the support onward. One word that I'm getting, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, is support. How important has the support been in your circle? Of course, being the breadwinner and the mom, all of it essentially falls back on you. But outside of that, how has the support been, and how important is it for our community to still rally around parents and students with Down syndrome?
It's very important, and it starts from home. Luckily for me, I have a great husband. I was so scared. I remember being scared to even tell him what the doctor told me, And surprisingly, he was more adaptive than I was. Like, he was more open-minded to it. He was more like, don't worry, he's going to be fine. So it starts from home, that you have a partner that is there to help you every step of the way. Then his older brother, like, he'll be, come Kazai, let's go. And then you have my sister, my mom, you have my extended family, and then you have some really good friends, as I mentioned earlier, When you have that type of support with persons around, and the lovely persons at Autism and the different therapies, and you have that support, that network, it goes so far. Because then you don't feel alone, you don't feel like you're in this by yourself. And when you have that, anything is possible to get where you need to be.
I must ask you one more question. From a parent perspective, what is essentially needed more in our territory holistically when we look at Down syndrome and the support? You mentioned that, of course, we don't have all the resources, but we do have some.
Yes,
if you could pinpoint a few stuff that you would say the territory needs, what would that be?
For me, the early stages is very fundamental, is very, very, very important. So we need the different therapy services. Right now, we don't have an occupational therapist, and that's one of the key to development. I mean, I was even told that I may have to travel every 3 weeks and then do home therapies, but, you know, financially, that wasn't feasible. So occupational therapies, they do speech therapies, we have that. We have early intervention therapies, that's what he's doing. When you leave now from your fundamental to your, I guess, your young adult, not young adult, young child, when you're going to primary school and
early childhood,
kindergarten. Now, I think that's where we need is more important, because then you need to get education. And I don't want to say we don't have it. I don't know if is that the right word to use, or if to say it needs to be more emphasized to get proper special ed teachers in the school system, that the kids can be streamlined in the public school where they could get the proper and the right education they need. I know right now Kazai is supposed to be going to the therapeutic kindergarten in East Adams from September. I don't know, Ms. Dawson could correct me if I am wrong with this. I'm not too sure how it actually works, but I know from my understanding that after you get, I think, class 1 or 2,
okay,
I'm not sure. She could speak more of that,
No
but
problem.
I just know it needs special needs
Teachers.
education teachers
Understood.
in the public schools, right from kindergarten to they graduate high school.
All right, Ms. Dawson, you are no stranger to the conversation. Break it down for us. What exactly is Down syndrome?
okay. Every human being has 46 chromosomes, 23 pairs. However, sometimes babies are born with an extra chromosome at number 21.
Okay.
And so those babies who have that extra chromosome have this condition that is called Down syndrome. It's also called trisomy 21. And so that's why the observance is on the 21st of the third month, the 21st
Understood.
of March each year. Children with Down syndrome usually they're usually easily recognizable. Very often they have like slanted eyes, their digits, their toes and fingers are sometimes shorter. Sometimes they might have a protruding tongue. And as Kisheba mentioned, sometimes there are lots of health challenges that parents have to deal with, especially heart-related issues, and many of them have problems with visions.
Okay.
Speech is also a problem for them sometimes, most times.
Okay. What are some of these services offered at the Autism Center specific to Down syndrome?
Well, we say we offer developmental therapy. We don't really have a speech therapist or an occupational therapist per se, but a lot of the therapy, the work that we do with children, involves some of the things that speech and occupational therapists would do.
Okay.
So we work with them on helping them develop their fine motor skills, learning how to do things like button up their own clothes, how to brush their teeth. We work with them for those who need it on toileting skills. We also do a lot of activities that help them to develop their speech, their large motor skills, and we work with behavior. So we sort of offer an overall comprehensive program to help with the child's development.
And what is the intervention process like?
Well, first of all, you accepted as a client at Social Development Department. You're a part of Social Development Department
Okay.
now. And once then you're a client, then we set up first, we have an assessment process where our special education teacher, Ms. John, does an assessment where we determine the child's strengths and weaknesses in different areas. So we look at speech development, fine motor skills, gross motor skills, and other areas. And then based on the information from the assessment that is done, we begin to work on those skills that are emerging. The skills that are strong, we just continue to ensure that they stay strong. But those that are coming out or emerging, and we call them emergent skills, those are the ones that we focus on. So we develop programs around those particular skills that need developing.
Okay. Now, when you look at the role and, of course, your very needed job, what would you say is needed to make this even more possible, workable, and easier on both the teachers, the Autism Center, as well as the parents and students? What could be done to make it a little bit more cohesive?
Okay, we do need, as Kisheba mentioned, the more allied therapists, and especially for pediatrics, because as she's mentioned, Dr. Jerry Smith, when she went to him, although he was a physical therapist, he really had not worked with a child so young, but he was willing to do whatever he needed to do. But it would be good if we were able to have pediatric practitioners in occupational therapy, speech therapy, physical therapy, so that they are better qualified. Qualified isn't really the word, but they're more comfortable.
Okay.
Because there's some people who, yes, they're skilled in whatever they do, but they prefer to work with, older clients.
Understood.
Even myself,
they're not very comfortable with dealing with children.
Right. Even myself as a special education teacher, I'm not very comfortable with the very little ones.
Understood.
So I'm glad that I have staff who, are quite okay with it. So having persons at that level who are able, it would help to make the job so much easier. Because at present, my staff, we spend a lot of time researching things like YouTube and Pinterest are our best friends. Sometimes I get messages, let's say Kazai comes in and he's not doing something, and everybody's putting their heads together. What can we do to help make this better? And by the next morning, I'm getting YouTube shares. Miss Dawson, I found this.
Yeah.
And when I look at the time, sometimes it's sent like at 2 something in the morning. So, well, that idea came to them at that time. So because we don't have that, extra support, while we love doing it, it takes up a lot of time having to do all of that research to find out what is the next step to go to help a child.
Definitely. Now, let's put it into perspective. Statistics-wise, how many clients do we presently serve, and what percentage of or number falls under Down syndrome specifically?
Okay, well, let me start from Down syndrome and go out.
No problem.
Presently, we have, within the territory that we're aware of, we have 11 adults with Down syndrome and 8 children. At present, the Disability Services Division, we're right now only working with Kazai, but we have in the past worked with up to 6 or 7 children with Down syndrome. Most of them are now in the public school, and so we only, given our caseload, we sometimes are only able to work with them during vacation when we have camps. In terms of adults, we have 5 adults at our adult program for persons with disabilities, BVI services, and then there are other adults with Down syndrome who are not a part of the program. Overall, in terms of client at Disability Services Division, we are presently serving between the adults and the children close to 50 persons.
Okay. All right. Now, what is the relationship between the two ministries? Of course, education plays a role, and then the Ministry of Health plays a role. When it comes to disabilities and the partnership, how do the 3 agencies, the 2 ministries, but the 3 agencies with yours come together and work and make this collaborative effort?
We work quite closely. I have a very close working relationship with the Student Services Department at Education Department, which is responsible for children with disabilities. And I work closely with the special education teacher, Mrs. Afia Turnbull Smith. We collaborate very often. We are always bouncing ideas off each other. And we continue to support persons with disabilities, particularly Kisheba mentioned the therapeutic kindergarten, which is housed in its Adams Primary School. That was started in 2017 because we saw at the Autism Center, when we started working initially with just children with autism, we got a lot of referrals from parents, from schools. And when we went and did our initial screening or initial assessments, what we were finding was that some of the children were not showing signs of being on the autism spectrum, but had other delays. So we started offering developmental therapy, as I said earlier, which provided some early intervention and was basically helping put these students in a better place in terms of their development. In 2016, between 2016 and 17, we found ourselves in a situation where we had about a dozen children who we were seeing who were not ready for mainstream kindergarten, but they were chronologically at the age or older where they should be entering. So we worked with education, some of our persons from my division, and then persons from education. We got together and we put a proposal together for therapeutic kindergarten, which is something that had actually been proposed by a former speech therapist who served the territory some years ago. And the idea behind it was to give these students a start where they're in small grouping with additional support, more intensive support than is offered in a regular kindergarten, to help build up their skills and make them ready for kindergarten. So it's really, the idea is for them to be there at least 2 years, and hopefully at the end of the 2 years, we have reached to the point where they're able to be integrated or included into kindergarten. We've actually had some children who have gone from the therapeutic kindergarten, have done so well that they've been able to go into grade 1 instead of straight into kindergarten. One of the challenges that we're having is that some of these children continue to need support. And while there are special education teachers going who serve the different schools, their caseload is of such that the necessary support that is needed to ensure that they continue to thrive isn't always there.
Understood. Ladies, I want to thank you so much for this very in-depth and sincere conversation. Every year we celebrate and observe World Down Syndrome Day, and many persons may have the misconception that it's just about wearing bright colors. Obviously, we're in our blue and yellow today, and the colorful socks. But at the end of the day, I hope our viewers would understand and take away that it still takes a village to raise a child. And as we continue to support parents and students in the British Virgin Islands with Down syndrome, and the awareness, it is our sincere hope that the awareness and knowledge base would continue to grow across the territory, so persons understand, of course, how it takes place, what it's like taking care and raising a child, and not only that, but educating for the wonderful teachers that spend time not only on the preliminary levels as a child, a baby, kindergarten, but also grooming them as they grow into adults. Thank you guys so much. Before you go, I'd like to give you both an opportunity, beginning with you, Mrs. Callwood, to really leave a word of encouragement to parents who may have a child with Down syndrome, as well as just community members as they look and observe. Give them some closing words.
Okay, I'd like to encourage anyone out there that has a child with Down syndrome. Don't ever lose sight of hope. Don't ever think the war is ending. They're beautiful kids. They are loving. He's loving. Just come and they hug you up. So whatever you have to do necessary for your child, don't give up. Pound the pavement. Go to whatever resources available to you. Do your research, and you will see. Once you have that support, as I mentioned earlier, nothing is ever impossible for your child and for yourself. Just always remain faithful, and everything will be okay.
Amazing. Ms. Dawson?
I just want to say, encourage parents of children with Down syndrome any other disability, as a matter of fact, to continue advocating and doing what's best for your child. And I want to say a big thank you to the community for the support that we've been garnering over the years. It's increasing, and as we become more aware, then we can begin to see ways in which we can offer even greater support in areas of education, different therapies, activities, employment. There's so much that can be done. Thank you.
All right, viewers, that's all the time we have. Continue to be well. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.